What's up, guys? The Comics Kid 2099 here. I have got a graphic novel I want to talk to you guys about. Chew, Volume 2, International Flavor, written by John Layman and drawn by Rob Guillory. A while back, I reviewed Chew Volume 1. I had nothing but good things to say about it. Once again, I just want to say nothing but good things to say about Volume 2. This series is awesome. It's maybe one of the best comics that I've been reading. It's still going on, so I can say that. It's really close to The Sixth Gun. I've been saying for a very long time that The Sixth Gun is my favorite ongoing series. I'm very curious if this is going to edge out The Sixth Gun. I'm really curious. Once I read more of this series, I'll know for sure, and once I go back and reread all of The Sixth Gun. But right now, this is very close to being as good as The Sixth Gun, and I really love that series. If you have never heard of this series, if you never watched my review for Volume 1, if you've just stumbled onto this review, a really quick overview of this series. You've got Tony Chu, this guy right here. He has the power to eat something, and then he gets psychic impressions of the history of that object. He is called a Sebopath, and that is his power. And there's a few other people in this world who have similar powers, and then there's some other people who have different kinds of powers. And so this is not really a superhero book. It's a book where people have superpowers and then weird stuff happens. It's really more of a science fiction book, not so much a superhero book. And anyway, I'm not going to talk a whole lot about Volume 1. If you want to know more about this series just in general, you should probably go and watch my review of Volume 1. Needless to say, if you don't like spoilers, then you should just stop this video right now and just go read Chew, because I really love Volume 1, I really love Volume 2. You have my blessing. Turn this video off right now. Go watch Chew. Okay, now that you've done that, or if you haven't and you're still watching, Chew, Volume 2. A big problem, not a problem, a concern that I had about this series when I read Volume 1, I was afraid it was going to be a series that would introduce a whole lot of mysteries and questions and then not be able to answer all of those mysteries and questions. There was a lot of stuff introduced in Volume 1 where I was like, okay, this is very strange and unusual. Is this series ever going to come back and deal with this stuff? And I was very pleasantly surprised to see that Volume 2 did deal with some of that stuff. For example, in Volume 1, something happens with Mason Savoy. Again, if you haven't read Volume 1, I'm kind of trying to avoid spoiling stuff, but you really should leave. In Volume 1, something happens with Mason Savoy. In Volume 2, we don't find out anything more about Mason Savoy. So that's one mystery that they kind of shelved for a little while, and they're going to deal with that later, I assume. But we find out very briefly in Volume 1 that there's another Sebopath in the world who is seemingly a vampire. We find out in this volume quite a bit more about the vampire, and I was very pleasantly surprised by that twist involving the vampire. I'm not going to say what it was. It was something that was very interesting, and if done differently, it could have been very bad, but it was very well done here. I really liked the way they dealt with it, and they didn't completely answer everything about the vampire. They've left just enough out there that I'm very certain he's going to come back in later volumes, and we're going to see more with him, and I'm very interested to see how his further interactions with Tony come to pass. We also get the, I guess you could say, the reintroduction of Tony's partner, who he was working with at the very beginning of Volume 1, and then a machete hits him in the face while they're on a mission before Tony starts working for the FDA. And now he's come back to work for the FDA, I guess, or he's working with them to work with Tony. It kind of glosses over how and why he's working with Tony once again. But he's working with Tony now because, again, huge spoilers, Mason Savoy is no longer working for the FDA as of Volume 1. And he's very fun. At first I was kind of thinking he was just going to be the normal guy, but no, I don't think there's a single normal person in this entire world. Maybe Tony's love interest, Miss Amelia Mintz, I think. I think her name is Amelia Mintz. And again, she's one of those people who, she has certain abilities, not exactly like Tony, but she does have powers, and I'm just going to say she may be the most normal person in this entire world. Very interesting that she's kind of the normal one, and she's probably the one who's least developed. She's definitely not your point of view character where you've got this weird and fantastic world and then you need a normal person to kind of guide you into this world. That's not her. I would say she's either the most normal or Tony's brother, Chow. He's maybe the most normal, and he's kind of a jerk, and he doesn't really have anything weird about him, but strangely enough, he somehow keeps getting involved in these stories. He was in Volume 1, he's even more prevalent here in Volume 2. Like I said, I was afraid that this series was going to keep introducing mysteries and not deal with the old ones. And that's still a little bit of a concern of mine because this volume It does deal with a little bit with the vampire. It does bring back Miss Mints, who is in volume 1. It also introduces a new mystery. You've got this weird fruit thing that when you eat it when it's raw, at least Tony, he ate some of it when it's raw, and he gets like this vision of the universe or something. But then when you cook it, it tastes just like chicken. And I don't need to remind you guys that in this world, chicken is illegal because of allegedly the avian flu, which allegedly happened. Some people don't think that it actually happened, but there was something that killed a lot of people out there. And so there's this fruit that tastes a lot like chicken. And so there's kind of this crazy mad rush for people to try and fill the void that was left by chicken no longer being legal to eat. And that's kind of the crux of this volume, and we don't really find out a whole lot about that fruit other than it probably came from another world. I don't know if we're going to find out any more about it, or if that was just kind of important in this volume and then we're not going to deal with that anymore and we're going to deal with some other mysteries in volume 3 forward. But that's still kind of a concern of mine. I'm really afraid that they're going to keep introducing these weird and crazy mysteries and they're going to accidentally drop something. I hope that doesn't happen. I have faith in these guys. They brought me 2 volumes that are absolutely excellent, and I'm going to keep reading this series because these 2 volumes have very much wowed me, but I am a little concerned that they're going to drop something along the way. I hope they don't, but that's kind of my fear as of right now. So that's all I have to say about Chew Volume 2 International Flavor. I hope that you guys like this review. I hope I was able to convince you to go and read this volume because it's very awesome. Go read the series in general because it's really cool what I've read of it so far. I can't wait to go and read more from this series. That's all I have to say. I hope that you guys like this review. If you did, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I will be back later with another kind of video. So until then, I'll see you guys next time. Have a great rest of the day.